Well, Foamage, found a swarm, eh?
Found one. Master, all we can do is keep our own. This is the second swarm that got away. Luckily, some of your men with horses were up there, and they galloped after the bees and we caught them.
Oh, good for you. Now, what do you say, Foamage? Shall we start cutting, or do we wait a bit?
Master, you know our old proverb, don't cut the corn until St. Peter's morn.
But if the corn's ready for cutting?
Oh, aye, it's ready. Master, I know you. Always wanting to get on. Oh, why not? It'll give us more room for the cattle.
Well, the weather's right.
Ah, it is today. All of that is in the Lord's hands.
Then we'll hope he's on our side.
A prayer or two would not be amiss.
We'll start cutting tomorrow. I'll tell the bailiff.
You swing too wide, Master. You wear yourself out, you will.
It needs practice.
Oh, it does. About 40 years. Like I've had. There you are, Master. Dinner time. Master, take some of my dinner. There's plenty. Praise be to God.
And I will. And thank you.
Good, eh?
Best dinner I've ever had.
Not what you're used to. The hunger is the best sauce.
There's nothing like it. What do you think, Fomitch? When we finish up there, can we do Mashkin Hill today?
With God's will, we might. It'll be a long day, though. Will there be a drop of vodka in it for the lads?
Vodka all round.
They'll do it then. What's an extra hour or two? They can eat and sleep after dark.
We've done it. The whole field in Mashkin Hill as well. A glorious day. What have you been up to?
Well, this morning I fished your river for an hour.
Catch anything?
Not a bite, but who cares? You look very heated, Kostya. Why do you rush about so much?
Because it's the busiest time of the year, that's why.
Not for you, surely. Can't you take even one day off?
Oh, I can't, and I'll tell you why. Because if I did, every peasant on the estate would do likewise.
Come now, aren't you being a little unfair to the peasants? You who profess to like them so much.
I don't profess any such thing. I like most people, I suppose. I dislike some.
I'm talking of the peasantry as a whole, as a class. You like them, and you know my sympathies are entirely on their side.
Yes, I do, and that's your trouble. You regard them as a group. Entirely distinct, and separate from yourself.
But they are.
No, you don't get my point. Every peasant's an individual, different from any other. As different as... Well, as my old friend Oblonsky is from that professor from Kharkov. What was his name?
Professor Wurz?
Yes, now, you don't generalize about those people. The people you know. So why'd you lump the peasants together as if they were a swarm of bees or a herd of cattle? Got to think of it, if you knew cattle as I do, you'd realize they're all individuals too.
And it's all very well, but social philosophy has to take the broad view. If we are to improve the social conditions of a certain class, then surely we must consider them as a class.
I don't know anything about philosophy.
No, Kostya, that you don't. But you live among these people and you know them.
I don't. I know Mikhail and Fomitch and Ivan and Fosky and the widow Kazimov because they come and tell me their troubles and I try and help them. But I wouldn't presume to prescribe for the millions of Ivans and Sashas all over Russia I've never met.
Now you're overheated, and it's my fault.
No, it's just...
Well, talking of Sashas, I met your old nurse in the village and we talked about your working in the fields. No. Apparently, the peasants don't approve of it.
No, rubbish.
They think it isn't work for the gentry.
Oh, but if I enjoy it as I do, where's the harm?
I tell you, every man should work to the limit of his capacity.
I've done that today.
All you've done is waste your time, your energy, and your educated intelligence.
Oh, the old theme, eh? Public activities, the Zemstva, committees. Now there's a waste of time if you like. It doesn't work.
But of course not if decent people refuse to help.
I don't consider it important.
Not important. But we're spending money and nothing gets done. No local clinics, no midwives or district nurses. Ignorant women starving their children. And peasants steeped in ignorance at the mercy of every village clerk. And what about schools?
Schools? What for?
Well, surely you must admit that a peasant who can read and write is a better man and a better labourer.
Simply isn't true.
You don't believe in education?
Yes, of course I do.
Very well then, as an honest man, you ought to work for it.
No! I don't believe in interference. I don't want to plan anybody's life except my own, and that's hard enough, God knows. Even if I had the ability, which I've not, what right have I got to tell other people what to do?
Duty, Kostya, to help others less fortunate.
I don't see that. The peasant acts out of self-interest, and so do I. I respect his self-interest, and he respects mine, but the Zemstva...
Now, wait a minute. There was no self-interest behind our work to emancipate the serfs.
Certainly there was. Theirs and ours to be free, mutually free of that disgusting yoke. Now they're striking for freedom. But committees for this and that, all they do is pile on new chains, a change of bureaucracy.
That's hardly fair.
Oh, from the best of motives, I
But well, surely the end justifies the means.
No. What I say is this, and the peasant would say the same. Those rights which affect me, my personal interests, those I will defend to the best of my ability. When we were students and the police came and searched us and read our letters, then I would have defended to the death my right to education and to liberty. I can understand compulsory military service when it affects me or my family or my children. I'll debate anything which affects me. But to be a town councillor and sit on a jury and try a half-witted peasant who stole a flitch of bacon.
I suppose you were arrested tomorrow. Would you prefer to be tried at the old criminal tribunal?
I'm not going to be arrested tomorrow. I'm not going to cut anybody's throats. I'm not going to be tried. It's the whole point.
Innocent men are sometimes arrested and tried. Now, if you were on the jury, you might have the wit to recognize innocence.
Oh, you... Logic.
In all things. Ah, this problem. I've been working at it for an hour and suddenly the answer emerges. Now, not pawn to queen 6. Now, emotionally, that's what I wanted it to be, but I was wrong. Now, queen to king's bishop 8. Queen takes queen. Black mated in 3. Logic.
All right. But chess isn't life, Sergei. And without emotion, life can't exist. I'm filthy all over. I'll go and wash and we'll have some supper. But you know, today, out there in the fields, with all the people and the children, I wanted to change my whole way of life. Simplicity and sanity. That's what they've got. That's what I need. Well, how? Leave this place? Join a peasant community and marry a strong young peasant girl and raise a family?
I hope you're not serious.
Who knows, maybe. That's from Steve. We know, Oblonsky.
Oh, yes.
He says, I've had a letter from Dolly at Yergoshovo, and everything seems to be wrong there. I can't get away myself, so do please ride over and give her your advice. She'll be so pleased to see you. Kitty and her parents are still abroad, so she's quite alone. Poor thing.
Yes, that sounds typical of Oblonsky, leaving the trouble to his friends.
I don't mind in the slightest. Dolly's a nice person. But let's ride over together. It's only 20 miles and a capital road.
Have you forgotten I'm going home tomorrow?
Would you have to?
I'm afraid so.
I'm sorry. It's been good having you here. Still, it can't be helped. I'll ride over myself when I've cut the wheat. Help yourself to a drink.
So, you've decided to come home?
Home? Did you say I decided to come home?
I meant to say only...
You decided it for me. You ordered me to come.
Anna.
As you have the right to do, of course. Here I am.
Yes. How is Seryozha? He's quite well. I shall not be dining at home today. I have to go out directly. A meeting of the commission.
What is that? Something new?
Yes, they've set it up at my instigation. To visit the Zaraisky province and report on the question of the native tribes. Now, the affair has really been quite a scandal. Vast sums poured away, nothing to show for it. Well, you should understand, naturally.
Alexei, excuse me. We cannot simply converse like this as if nothing had happened.
I have no desire...
I must tell you. That evening at the villa, I said terrible things to you. The next day, I could hardly believe I had said such things. Although at the time, I meant all I said.
I never doubted that.
But later I realized that I had only spoken what was in my heart. Not out of any wish to hurt you, but only so that once and for all you should recognize the truth.
Yes. That is what I supposed. But I repeat what I told you in my letter.
And
I repeat... I'm not obliged to recognize anything. I ignore everything you've said and done.
But you can't!
Why not? Other men have to. Though very few wives are good enough to communicate such agreeable news to their husbands.
I must tell you.
Look, tell me nothing. I shall ignore it so long as the world knows nothing, so long as my home is not disgraced. On that basis, our relationship shall continue as it has always been.
That's impossible. I cannot be your wife while I...
That thought, I suppose, reflects on the kind of life you've chosen. It's very far from what I had in mind, I do assure you. Although, considering what you've become, I don't see why you should deny to your husband what you freely offer to others.
Oh, that's horrible. You don't for one moment...
All I shall say is this. I do not want that man to come here. I want you to conduct yourself in such a way that neither society nor the servants can say anything against you. You are not to see Vronsky. It seems little enough to ask. In return, you shall enjoy the privileges of a respectable wife without fulfilling a wife's duties. That is all now in snow.
No, that is not all. I have to tell you something that the world will know soon enough.
I shall not listen.
You must listen. I am carrying a child. That man's child. And I am proud that it is his and not yours.
See, Sludin, my wife is back from the country.
Yes, sir.
Are we late?
In very good time, sir. The carriage is outside.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Constantine, help yourself to brandy.
Thanks. Just a drop. What a pleasant place this is.
Yes, isn't it? When it rains, the roof leaks, none of the cupboard doors shut properly. And as for the kitchen, still, I like it because the children do.
I thought they all looked splendid.
Oh, yes, thank God. Tanya and Grisha both had scarlet fever in the spring. It was really rather a bad time. But Kitty was wonderful. She came and helped me through the worst of it.
Yes, she would. Now, Dolly, I do wish you'd let me send you over a couple of cows. Those children of yours need the best of milk, and if you feel you must, you can repay me at 5 kopecks a month. I shall be content.
Kitty is coming here for a holiday.
Oh. Is she quite better?
Yes. Constantine, why are you angry with Kitty?
I'm not.
Then why did you not come to visit us or them when you were in Moscow?
How can you ask that when you must know?
Know what?
That I made an offer, and I was refused.
But I didn't know. Well, I knew something had happened that had made her dreadfully unhappy, but she begged me not to talk of it. So she refused you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for her.
For her?
You only suffer in your pride.
You must forgive me, Dolly. I must go.
Wait.
No.
Just let me say this.
Please don't talk about it.
It is all so easy for men. You are interested in a girl, you come to the house, you make friends. You watch her, and then when you're quite sure you're in love, you make an offer.
It isn't like that.
But for a girl, it's different. She has to wait. She is expected to make her choice, yet she cannot choose. She can only answer yes or no.
Kitty's choice has been made, and that is final.
Because of your pride. Constantine, think. When you spoke to Kitty, she couldn't answer. She was seeing Vronsky every day and knew she hadn't seen for months. Oh, if only she'd been a little older. If only...
If only you knew how much you're hurting me. It's just as if a child of yours was dead and people kept saying to you, he would have been like this or like that. If only he'd lived to know how happy you would have been. But all the time he's dead, and nothing can bring him back.
That's nonsense.
Perhaps. But I can't help it.
So you won't come and see Kitty?
No. Goodbye, Dolly.
Master, that's what I call wheat. Yeah, you smell that? Rare as gold, that is.
They make a good pair.
That's my youngest, Vanka. 21-year-old. That's his wife.
A fine boy.
Not bad.
And married already.
2 years ago last St. Philip's Day.
So young. Have they got any children?
Not yet. He's always been as bashful as a baby. Won't be too long now, though, I reckon. There's wheat for you. Regular gold, I call it.
Ilona? Thank you.
Well, Dolly? Does he say?
He says... Really, men are impossible. He says that he's sorry he was unable to bring the saddle over himself, but he hopes that Katerina Alexandrovna...
My wife has called me Kitty.
Yes, dear. He hopes you will find it useful. Unhappily, he goes on, unhappily. He's been called away to the Surovsky district and will not be home for several weeks. Well, my little ruse was unsuccessful.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter a scrap.
Yes, indeed. When Betsy told me Count Stremov was to be here, I was surprised.
Why, Princess?
Well, hardly your media.
Everybody must have some pleasure, even politicians.
5 minutes for Betsy, 10 minutes for you. Explain yourself, Alexei, or I shall be cross.
Then I shall explain. We are being visited by a foreign prince. No, I mean it, a real prince. His name is Frederick, and he's important to the government.
Why?
I'm not to say why, even if I knew, which I don't. He's a large, healthy young man. And he's being shown everything that the government thinks he ought to see. And when he's bored with that, which happens every evening, I am ordered to attend to his pleasure.
So, they chose the right man.
A year ago, perhaps. They don't always keep up with events.
You don't enjoy it?
Well, I feel like a man in charge of a dangerous lunatic. Oh, seriously, he makes me fear for my own reason.
Is he so dreadful?
The prince has travelled a great deal, and he's sampled the delights of all nations. In Spain, he serenaded a lady guitar player. In England, he hunted in a pink coat, and he shot 200 pheasants. He explored a harem in Turkey, and he killed tigers in India. Now in Russia, during the course of 1 week, he is determined to dissipate à la Russe.
It's disgraceful.
And what is more, he is insufferably arrogant, and as to his manners, well, I prefer not to speak of his manners.
Oh, my poor Alexei.
You may well say so.
And now you must go and attend to this monster.
Yes. Anna, I love to see you so merry.
If I couldn't be merry when you are with me, what a miserable wretch I should be.
Varia, you did come after all.
I insisted that she should.
Is my brother with you?
You know better than that, Alexei. No, my dear husband left for the Nevsky Club directly after dinner. As usual. Yes, but this evening is different. In what way? He's been told of an infallible system. In that case, he will infallibly lose more than usual.
Look, I have to go. Will you stay and sit with Anna for a while?
That's what I came here for.
You are the kindest soul and the best of sisters. Au revoir.
Where away, old fellow?
Well, you two signed the peace treaty.
An armistice, Count. Only an armistice.
True, and I doubt we'll ever have peace. The terms are too high.
You really are the most disgusting young man.
Prince Frederick, let me come with you.
What about,
Charming, quite charming, I agree, but a trifle rarefied. Sometimes I long for a dirty, dishonest, down-to-earth mercenary gypsy. And tonight, Vronsky, is one of those times.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You and Prince Frederick are blood brothers.
Didn't Alexei ever tell you?
Not a word. Why should he? But that doesn't surprise me.
If he had not been so generous to my husband and me, I don't know where we should have been.
What happened exactly?
I'll tell you. When the old Count died, he left his property equally between the two brothers. An income of about 100,000 rubles.
Each?
The Countess, of course, has her own settlement. Well, when we were married, my husband had huge debts, and I had nothing at all, except a pedigree. So Alexei insisted that he should only use 25,000 rubles of his income and allow us the rest. He said that would be enough until he married, if he ever did. His mother gave him 20,000 a year, and he managed very well.
But now?
Now, suddenly, at a blow, his mother cuts him off completely.
Was that because of me?
Partly. But I think that's too simple. She's really very devious. I think she wanted us to feel ashamed.
Did you?
I did. My husband? Well, as the eldest, he believes that all things are due to him.
Do you love him?
Yes. Yes, in fact, I do. Well, as you may know, Alexei is extremely methodical about money matters. He sat down and worked out what he could afford in future. He sold all his horses.
His horses? Oh, but his horses.
Then he went to a money lender and paid his debts, his honourable debts. The tailors and the bootmakers have to wait, of course. In time, and they know this, even the tailors and the bootmakers will be paid. They know it because his word has always been his bond.
But how did you hear all this?
Oh, through his colonel, Betsy, Paula Shilton. Such things are always known. People talk.
What did you do?
I spoke to my dear husband like a Dutch uncle. Eventually, he too was ashamed. And things have been arranged.
And what does your mother-in-law think of that?
She is quite silent upon the matter. So no one will ever know whether she is elated or outraged. Amusing, yes?
You know, I've always been slightly jealous of you.
Good heavens, why?
Because Alexei swears that you're the nicest woman in the world. Now I know he's right.
Princess is talking of Madame Karenina, whom I must say I have always found most charming.
Who doesn't? But rumour says that you and her husband are deadly enemies.
Rumour exaggerates, as usual. True, we're on opposite sides, but that's politics.
Well, what I say is, I don't know how she dares show her face here, or anywhere else.
Oh, come now. There's nothing wrong with her face.
6 months, by the look of her. And knowing what everyone knows.
Do they? Or is that another rumour?
Stuff and nonsense, no question about it.
I find it rather sweet.
Sweet.
And terribly exciting. You look splendid, splendid.
Thank you. I am well this evening. I'm sorry, Betsy, this will be my last one here.
Oh, surely not. Why?
At least until after it's all over. I've become conspicuous. Even at this distance, I can hear the tongues clacking at me.
If you were the only one, my dear, gossips would have a thin time.
And in any case, quite soon I shan't be able to go out at all. Not even to see Alexei. That frightens me.
He'll come to you.
Forbidden to ask him.
Forbidden?
By my husband.
Oh, come now. Really?
And I'm very much alone. I've nothing to do but think. So I become frightened. And not just a little frightened, Betsy. Very frightened.
Of having the baby?
Oh, no. What terrifies me is the thought that if I stop seeing Alexei, he'll forget me. He'll go. He'll find someone else. Forget me.
Ajda zaznabiła też moją galobuszku. Ajda zaznabiła też moją kudriawą. Bidamange romale, bidamange chavale. Bidamange romale, bidamange chavale, bidamange romale, bidamange chavale, bidamange romale, bidamange chavale. Bidamange romale, bidamange chavale, bidamange romale, bidamange chavale.
Down in one, sir. All at a gulp. That's a rule, you know. No heel taps. Splendid, sir. Splendid.
That's the one I'll have.
So you shall, sir.
That's the one for me. What's her name?
Tashiana, sir, and there are certain formalities.
What do you mean, for formalities?
He means she's no ordinary gypsy.
She is extremely rich.
Rich?
Worth a fortune. Even her jewels are genuine.
Gott in Himmel!
She charges a great deal. Never been able to afford her myself.
But I have money.
You see, sir, that is not enough. No?
He means she makes her own choice.
What?
But she gave you the champagne, so she likes you. And if she comes back to dance for you, wow, she chooses you. Music! Music!
Thank you.
You are late. You are 2 whole hours late.
I got home only 15 minutes ago to find your note, and I came directly.
I have been waiting. Where were you? Oh, no. I've no right to ask.
Yes, you have. I saw Prince Frederick off to Moscow.
That was to be at 5 o'clock.
Yes, it was. Then I had to go back and make out my report.
Oh, of course. So it's over. He has left Petersburg.
Yes, thank heaven, forever, I hope.
You say that, but I expect you enjoyed it all the same.
I used to, certainly, but no longer. And I confess, Anna, this week I have been looking at my own past as if in a mirror, and I didn't like what I saw.
Paula came to see me this morning. Petritsky had told her about your Athenian evening. Disgusting.
Anna, please.
And that French actress you used to know, Thérèse. Was she there?
Anna, you know perfectly
What do I know? What have I ever known? Only what you tell me. How do I know whether you tell me the truth?
Simply because I always have. I haven't a single thought that I wouldn't share with you.
Yes. Oh, yes, Alexei, my darling. Forgive me.
That demon again.
There! He's gone. I've driven him away. I am not jealous. I don't think I'm jealous. It's just that when you're away somewhere and you're leading your separate life...
Anna, you said in your note that your husband would be out at the council.
You met him?
At the door.
Well, it's your punishment for being late. He did go to the council, then he came back here, and now he is gone again. To the opera, I think, but who cares?
Nobody? But to meet him like that on his own doorstep. Now, what is the matter with the man? If he'd only fight or stand up for his honor, but this abject acceptance, it makes me feel like a snake in the grass, which is something I never intended to be.
How did he greet you? Like this?
Yes, exactly like that. It is all very well, Anna. How can he put up with such a position? He feels it. That is obvious.
No, you're wrong. He has no feelings. If he had any feelings, could he possibly live with me the way he does? Could he possibly live with a wife that he knows to be unfaithful? Could he talk to her? Call her my dear? Anna, my dear. Anna, ma chère. Oh, he's a puppet. He's not a man. If I were a man, I would have murdered, torn to pieces a wife like me. And I'd love her too if I could. Do you know what he said to me yesterday?
Don't! You're exciting yourself and it can't be good for you.
Perhaps, and perhaps I don't care.
Yes, but you must.
No. Oh no, what is going to happen will happen. And it will happen soon. But not the way we expect. Soon everything will come right. We shall all be at peace. We shall suffer no more. I have no doubts about it.
About what?
Well, you can guess, but I know. I know for certain. When this baby is born, I shall die.
No.
Yes, I shall die. I shall be glad to die. Oh, I'll set you free. And me as well.
What nonsense you speak. What utter rubbish.
No. I had a dream about it. You know how I dream.
Dreams mean nothing. You dreamt once. Do you remember that you and your husband and I...
Yes, that was a horrible dream. I was in a dark pit. But this was worse.
Don't think about it.
I ran into my bedroom to fetch something or find something. You know how it is in dreams. And in the bedroom in the corner...
Anna.
There was a peasant with a tangled beard. He was little, dreadful looking. He stooped down over a sack and he was fumbling about in it with his hands. And all the time he kept muttering very quickly, in French, you know, rolling his R's. The iron must be beaten. Beat it, pound it, hammer the iron. So terrified, I tried to wake up. And I did. But it was still part of the dream because suddenly my old nurse was there. She's been dead for 10 years. And she said to me, "In childbirth, you will die. In childbirth, Anna." Then I did wake up.
Anna, my dearest.
But Alexei, The baby won't die.
Of course not. Of course it won't.
Listen. Put your head close. Can you hear? Can you hear his heart beating?
Lock up.
Would it not be more polite to knock?
Here we go.
Anushka, stay here.
Out. Out!
What do you want?
I'm looking for your lover's letters.
They're not there!
Oh, yes. I think so. I think so. Ah. Yes. I told you. I ordered you not to receive that man in this house.
I had to see him.
I am not interested as to why a married woman wants to see her lover.
How can you be so cruel?
Cruel? You call it cruelty for me to give you freedom?
Freedom?
Offer you the honorable protection of my name on condition that you obey the proprieties. Is that cruelty?
It's worse. It's cowardly. And it's indecent.
Now, how would you describe your own behavior? Eh? Tell me that. Tell me that. Huh?
I have nothing more to say to you.
Oh, but I have this to say. Since you refuse to obey my wishes, I'm going to end this state of things.
It will come to an end of itself.
Sooner than you think. All you want is to gratify your animal passion?
I want only to be loved.
And you think only of yourself, but what about me? What do you care that my whole life is in ruins? What do you care how much I've suffered? I'm going at once to Moscow. I shall not return to this house. You shall hear from the lawyer with whom I shall arrange a divorce. And my son shall go to my sister's.
Leave Seryozha.
No.
With me. You're taking him away just to hurt me. You don't love him.
When I look at him, all I can think about is my loathing for you, but I shall take him all the same. Goodbye.
Please, I beg you, leave me, Seryozha. That's all I shall ever ask. Leave him at least until my confinement. He needs me. Please!
He came about an hour ago. Well, the poor man looked famished, so I got some food for him, but he
Has he eaten it?
hardly a bite.
Did you give him some vodka?
Well, sir...
There. I have come to see you.
Good for you. Why did you leave it so long?
I haven't been well. Not at all well. But I'm much better now. Garfield.
Will you take your dinner, sir?
When it's ready, Agafia. So, you've got my letter about the money due to you.
Well, that's really what I came for.
Thank you.
No, for 2,000 rubles. Are you sure it's all
Yes, I'm
mine?
quite sure. Do you remember that property we had at Malinsk? We couldn't sell it, but now it's sold. This is your share.
Good.
How long can you stay?
Not long. I'm off to Moscow.
Should you?
Why not? There's work to be done. Let me tell you, Miakov's promised me a post. Doesn't pay much, of course. What's money after all? The thing is to have one's health. Mine, thank the Lord, is mended. And yourself? What have you been up to? Helping with the harvest, I suppose?
Yes, yes. But more than that, I'm writing a book.
You, a book? Shouldn't you leave all that sort of thing to Sergei? What's it all about? This book?
It's a new scheme for Russian agriculture.
God in heaven.
I'm trying to set down as a theory what I've started in practice here on the estate. A land and profit-sharing scheme for the peasants.
And a lot the peasants care. Why'd you bother about them?
I'm doing it for my own good.
Oh, well, if it's a question of that, one must think of your soul's salvation before anything else.
Is that what you're after?
No. I mean, I'm doing it for my own profit. It's better for me if the peasant works better. And if it's in his own interest...
Stuff! If he's lazy, he won't work. If he has a conscience, he will.
Black and white, eh?
You can't change human nature.
Oh, come, you said yourself that Ivan looked after the cattle better than he used to.
All I say is you ought to get married. That's what it comes to. Now eat your soup.
Now, won't you sit down, Your Excellency?
So, you know who I am?
Oh, my dear sir, who doesn't? Excuse me, ant eggs, you know.
I beg your pardon?
Ants' eggs, for the fish. They're from the Black Sea. The fish, of course. Always hungry. Now, sir.
Before I begin, I must tell you that my business is strictly private.
Oh, my dear sir.
Very well. I have the misfortune to have been deceived in my marriage. I wish to break off all relations with my wife by legal means.
You wish a divorce?
Yes. And in such a way that my son does not remain with his mother.
Excuse me. And you would like me to arrange this?
If it can be arranged as I wish. If not, I may forego my legitimate desire.
Oh, quite.
Well, I have a general idea on the law on this subject.
You would like me to be persuaded?
If you would be so good.
Delighted. Now, divorce by our laws is possible in the following circumstances. One, a physical defect in either party. Applicable? No?
No.
Two, desertion without communication for 5 years. No. Well, finally, then, adultery. Are these the grounds that we have in mind? Adultery of the wife, I take leave to presume.
Yes.
Just so. Now then, adultery as grounds for divorce is subdivided into two categories. One, detection of the guilty party by mutual agreement, or two, failing such agreement, involuntary detection. In the first instance, it is customary for the husband, however innocent, to provide evidence for divorce. The most usual, simple and sensible arrangement, in my opinion, is adultery by mutual consent. It is also by far the surest method.
In this case, out of the question.
Really? You wish to insist that your wife is guilty?
She is.
My dear sir.
Involuntary detection, supported by letters in my possession.
Letters? I beg you not to forget that cases of this sort come under ecclesiastical jurisdiction. The revered fathers like to investigate such cases down to the minutest detail, and they do. Letters was partial confirmation, perhaps, but direct evidence is required. That is, of eyewitnesses. All are called, and few, if sufficiently rewarded, will fail to talk.
Yes, I understand.
And may I perhaps remind you, if you divorce your wife under these conditions, she will never be allowed to remarry. Moreover, she will be totally deprived of her children. But if that is what you desire, you should leave the choice of measures to me. If one wants the result, one shouldn't be shy of the means.
And if these conditions are met, a divorce is possible.
Oh, quite. If you give me a free hand. May I expect to hear from you?
Within the week. I shall write to you.
Good.
Go and let me have your terms.
Certainly.
It's rubbish, Kostya. You ought to know that. All you've done is borrow some ideas from the communists.
Nonsense.
And distort them.
You're wrong. Communism denies the right to private property, to inheritance, and to capital. I do not. I regard them as vital stimuli. All I want to do is to regulate labor.
Precisely. You've borrowed an idea. You stripped it of all its force. Now you pretend it's something new.
I tell you, my idea has nothing to do with...
Communism has at least the charm of clarity. It may be utopian, but if one could completely erase the existing system, no private property, no family, then Labour comes into its own, but you have nothing.
Why will you persist in mixing things up? I have never been a communist.
But I have. I believe it's premature but rational. And it has a future. As Christianity did in the early centuries.
No, that religion got to do with it.
Don't you even know that?
No, all I want to do is to find some way of relating the task of the labourer to his character and his capacity. I want to make labour profitable to myself and to the labourer.
Complete waste of time.
I want to organise...
No, you don't. You want to show that you aren't simply exploiting the peasants, that you have some idea in mind. You have no convictions, none at all. All you're doing is flattering your own self-esteem.
If that's what you think, you could leave me alone.
And so I shall. High time, too. You can go to the devil your own way. I won't say thank you for the money, because it's mine anyway, but thank you for the vodka and the soup. Oh, for letting me read this appalling trivia. Goodbye.
Nikolai. Nikolai, you can't go. You must stay for one night.
Not 1 hour. I'm from Moscow. Or at least some people know what I'm talking about.
If I've hurt your feelings...
Oh, you want to apologize, do you? Magnanimous, aren't you? Very well. If you want the satisfaction of being on the right, I can let you have that satisfaction. I'm wrong, you're right!
No,
But I'm going anyway! Don't think too badly of me, Kostya. Will you?
What, has he gone?
Gone, yes. And whether I'll ever see him again.
Oh, you will, sir. You may be sure of that.
No, he's dying. He'll be dead before the spring. What can I do for him? What can I do?
Some things are best left to God.
Death.